Hello everyone, my name is Meghan LeVota and I offer wisdom, tools, and support for personality integration. And for those of you who are new to my channel, I am an ENFJ, and today I'm going to be continuing on my series about cognitive functions. Now, I already have a playlist started. I actually have not, kind of did a little hiatus the past couple months. So this is the 7th out of 8 that I'm about to do, which is extroverted sensing. What's kind of funny actually is that I already did film a video about extroverted sensing, but I filmed it outside and there's a lot of wind going on, and it kind of hit me that of all of the types that are going to be bothered by the fact that there's wind, it's going to be an extroverted sensor. And I'll get into that a little bit more later as I define extroverted sensing. I thought that was kind of ironic, and I wanted to wait until I can really sit down and give you guys my best presentation today, because extroverted sensing, you're gonna notice how I'm talking, how I look, the backdrop. Out of anyone, you guys are gonna appreciate it if you're an extroverted sensor. So yeah, I didn't want to just be like, oh, hi, sorry, and have the wind going. And I actually asked you guys on my Facebook group, I asked the SPs if they would be bothered, and all of them said yes. So anyway, if you're new to cognitive functions, my little blurb that I have to say here is, or I guess spiel, since I'm speaking, is that there are 8 cognitive functions. They were originally identified by Carl Jung in the 1920s with his book Psychological Types. These functions have since gone on to inspire many different theories popularized by the MBTI. You might have heard of the 16 personality types, quiz online, and lots of other online quizzes. There are lots of different Jungian psychologists and theorists who have had their own take on these functions. And it's also important to realize that Carl Jung was inspired by astrology and tarot and, the Greek temperaments and lots of other things when he came up with these types. I guarantee that thinking, feeling, sensing, and intuiting existed before the 1920s. So yes, we thank you, Carl Jung, for introducing these concepts to us, but, we're going to continue to dive in and try and understand them. And what I'm going to be giving you guys today is my take on the functions based on what I've read. I've studied for about 8 years now. I definitely encourage you all to read about them yourself and come to your own conclusion. But if you want the too long didn't read version just from my perspective, then this video is for you. Extroverted sensing is a extroverted perceiving function. So there are perceiving and judging functions. The 2 perceiving functions are sensing and intuiting, whereas the judging functions are thinking and feeling. Out of these core 4 functions that all human beings have in their psyche, you can do that in an extroverted or introverted attitude. Now, these 2 attitudes, it really just means extroverted is focused on the outer world. It identifies with the external objects, and it focuses on pretty much an extrovert views the world in reality as what's happening around them, as the objects around them they can touch and engage with. That is the focus of an extroverted attitude, whereas an introverted attitude is focused on the subjective inner world. And when I say objective and subjective, I'm not saying correct and incorrect. It is absolutely correct and valid to have a subjective view on things. That doesn't mean that it's any less accurate or true than an objective attitude. And by objective, I mean, what are you focused on? Are you engaging on the objects around you, trying to look at it from a more general, broad sort of view? Because extroverted functions are objective, they are more general, they are more broad, and in many ways, at least for extroverted judging, FE and TE, they operate sort of as rules of thumb, as sort of these, they can sound like sweeping generalizations in a way. And similarly, extroverted sensing and extroverted intuition, that are the 2 extroverted perceiving functions, might seem like you're just sort of gliding over reality. You're getting just the gist of it. But whenever something is more broad than deep, which the introverted functions are more deep, what happens is that you see more. There's a greater breadth that you can get to. And so that is the genius of extroversion, is the breadth that you can get to and the width of that perspective. So not one is better than the other. It's just important to see the ways that these things interact. So extroverted sensing is extroverted sensing is paired with introverted intuiting, which I've already done a video about. These two functions operate on an axis where you have the SPs, ESFPs, ISFPs, ESTPs, and ISTPs that lead with more extroverted sensing than introverted intuiting. And then you have the NJs that have their extroverted sensing lower down on their stack. So ESFPs and ESTPs are the two types that use extroverted sensing as their primary way of being. And these people, they are in the moment. They are in the now. Extroverted sensing, the key word that I use to describe it is that it seeks impact. It's more than just, a lot of people will say that extroverted sensing is about your five senses. And it is about your five senses, but what are you going to do with that? It's about touching and poking and prodding your environment, which isn't a bad thing. It is what makes things happen. It is creating an impact. It is interacting with the world around you. So, and let's just contrast this with extroverted intuition, that like, okay, so if we're looking at this cup right now, extroverted sensing is thinking about all of the ways that you can impact this cup. You can sip it, you can, what are the things that you can do with it? That's the interesting thing for extroverted sensing. You can pour it on someone's head, you can smash the glass. There's lots of things that you can do with it, but what impact do you want to make on it? Extroverted sensing is always thinking about the impact that they want to make, whereas extroverted intuition is thinking about all of the different possibilities and all of the different meanings of things, to the point where extroverted intuition is not interacting with the external world. They do it in a roundabout way. They do it through ideas. They do it through possibilities. And that is the key thing to look at, where extroverted intuition wants to imagine. If you have strong extroverted sensing, what might kind of peeve you about or get on your nerves about extroverted intuiting is that they can seem like they're all talk and no action. It could seem like, sure, you have these ideas, but have you done anything to go toward them? Have you done anything to make them a reality? Or are you just making excuses in your head? It's very common for an extroverted sensing person to have that sort of mindset about people, where they might find them cowards, they might find them weak. And I'm saying this because in the personality community, there are a lot of people that use extroverted intuition, and it's very prominent in the community and in most philosophical, theoretical communities. And the strength of an extroverted sensing perspective is that they want to make practical use of things and make an impact on the world around them. They don't want to just sit around and think about it. And so that's something where extroverted sensing and extroverted intuition can kind of butt heads, because extroverted intuition is fine with just sitting around and thinking about something. They aren't attached to those possibilities becoming real. It's fun for them to muse about things. And I'm not saying that extroverted sensing can't muse about things, but the underlying core function, I guess, of extroverted sensing is about grasping the sensory reality in the moment now and then engaging with it. That's why these types, they tend to be really good at sports. They tend to have good reflexes. They tend to be really good in crisis situations, because they're like they're alert at all times. And so they're like primed, ready to go. And that's what they can best offer the world. They are aware of what's going on. They're extremely perceptive. It's not just intuition that's perceptive. extroverted sensing it can be very piercing in the things that they see. It's very hard to fool them because they see the elephant in the room. So yeah, that's a little bit about extroverted sensing. Extroverted perceiving function that seeks to impact, that focuses on the five senses by actually impacting reality with their five senses and engaging with reality. They're the kind of they're the kind of kid that needs all the toys. It's the breadth of the sensory experiences. They tend to want to try every single type of food. They want to go every single place. They get bored easily, but that's what makes them so fun to be around, is because they're always introducing new sensory possibilities into the picture. So thank you so much for watching this video, and let me know if you have any more questions about extroverted sensing. And yeah, thank you. Oh, and also I offer typing services and mentorship services and lots of fun links below, so check that out. Have a wonderful rest of your day.